Hello everybody, what's happening? Clint here. Thank you for joining us for the CineFix Top 100 once again. Quick note before we get going. Unfortunately, we had some issues with a lot of the footage from this episode. So here on YouTube this week, instead of just not having an episode to put up, we're putting it up audio only. So sorry for the inconvenience on that. But the other little bit of news that I need to share with you before we get going, this is Cal's favorite movie of all time. And it's really disappointing that we can't see how excited he is for most of this conversation. But out of respect for the fact that this is one of his favorite movies of all time, we have not bleeped him even a little bit. So, as you can imagine, Cal's normal proclivity for the F word, combined with his devout love for Goodfellas, he goes a little off the rails. So, maybe don't play this out loud at church or whatever. But all that being said, please enjoy CineFix Top 100 Goodfellas.
I am sad we live in a world where a talent like Joe Pesci probably couldn't make it like he did today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CineFix Top 100, the show where we watch 100 of the greatest movies ever made. They just fell off the truck. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm Clint Gage. Joining me, as always, he's here on 2 counts of racketeering. It's Michael Squints Calibro. How you doing, Cal?
Good, Clint. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You doing good? Great.
Doing okay.
All right.
You just slip so easily.
Yeah,
right
I
into
can
that,
get right back
that
into it like
voice.
this. How you doing?
You're
I've
back
never heard
home.
him say anything like that.
I know. It's honestly a little scary. But also, he runs the numbers here, joining us, Nikki 2 times Lamone. How you doing?
How's it going? How's it going?
This is going to be a long episode. It's really, you got to say everything
I
2
don't know
times.
what you're talking about.
The important thing is we're going to get all of that out of our system here in the intro.
Yeah.
I think
so.
And if it's not obvious, welcome back, everybody, to more Season 4. It's the season of family. And we've got the warmest, fuzziest family movie I can think of that we're watching today. If you can't tell,
If the sweaters haven't given it away already.
we're watching Goodfellas. The most famous scene from Goodfellas,
Yeah.
the thing that everybody, as soon as you say, have you seen Goodfellas? They're like, oh yeah, the one with that one scene about the yellow sweaters.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Are you
Goodfellas,
guys?
yeah.
Are you guys those guys from Goodfellas?
Yeah, no, we're getting our Halloween costumes out of the way early this year.
It happened so early too. I was like, I thought this happened way later in the movie.
No, it's I was in my brain. I was like, yeah, it's buried in the middle somewhere, but no, it's right up. It's right up top. It's like 2 minutes into the movie. Goodfellas, of course, 1990 from Martin Scorsese. Goodfellas is based on the life story of Henry Hill, who, for as long as he can remember, he wanted to be a gangster. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, Lorraine Bracco, most of the people that wound up in The Sopranos.
I think there's something like 27 people in
Yep.
Goodfellas that are in The Sopranos.
They all just hung out together until they started making The Sopranos, I think. Is this the best gangster movie of all time? Should we ask that question?
Yeah, let's just get it out of the way.
Right out of the gate?
It depends who you ask.
Well, sure.
I feel like it's always like in contention with like The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, 100%. This is the greatest gangster movie that has ever been made. Probably will ever be made in my lifetime. I feel like decades, more than 3 decades of crime has to transpose in order to make a new criminal that is so disassociated from like this that it's all just like a whole new thing. Because most crime movies that have been made after this take something from it. It is like, this is a foundational crime movie in a way that The Godfather is too. Now, the interesting thing is like, if you ask the old-timey Italians from like where I come from what the greatest mob movie of all time is, Universal, The Godfather.
Do you think that has to do with this level of like heraldry and like royaltiness to it, the stoicism?
Yeah. So I think the exact reason why my grandfather loved The Godfather is the exact opposite reason of why I love Goodfellas. Because like Godfather has like this operatic sense to it, right? Like it's about family justice and trying to avenge the murder of your father. Where this movie is about a couple of guys that just really love to break the law. They just fucking love
stealing
they just love to
stuff,
steal,
killing
gamble,
people.
just consequences be damned. It's fucking incredible.
We'll get into it plenty later, but Scorsese's approach in general to this movie too is really something else. Like the book that it's based on, Nicholas Pileggi's Wise Guy, is a lot of fun, and it's largely pulled straight from transcripts of some of the feds interviewing Henry Hill about his experience and getting all the evidence from him. Like some of that is pulled straight to the book, which is then pulled straight to the screen, and so like there's a level of truth to this movie that's like unavoidable, and it is on screen too. Like it's one thing to be like, yeah, all this stuff happened and to hear about it, but the way that Scorsese visualizes it throughout this movie, and we'll talk plenty about it because I think he uses literally every technique that's available to a filmmaker to visualize like how this life felt to Henry Hill and Karen and to all the other characters, which that's one of the most exciting things about this movie, I think, is just like it is a fascinating adaptation of real stuff that happened.
I mean, it's made by someone who not only like loves cinema, but he just loves the camera as a tool and just figures out like, let me see if I can put this thing through its paces.
Well, and loves the source material too. Like it's how he grew up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's like this is this is very much like, I want to show you the magnetism of the world I grew up in, and Martin Scorsese famously thought about joining the priesthood. Thank fucking God he didn't. Which I understand the irony in that sense, in the juxtaposition of those two sentences, but nevertheless, like, he may not have been a practitioner of organized crime, but he has translated the allure of it in a way that no film has done before, and many have tried to duplicate since.
Well, because he was around it, right? Yeah. Like it's his, I love this story. We'll talk about the Copacabana steadycam shot at length later, I'm sure. But one of the great details of that is like the way that the table swoops in to the scene. He was like, no, that's what happened. Yep. And like that's the detail that he's like, no, that's how they did it. And so it's like that experiential sort of detail that he is able to put in here like adds to this world and like the allure of it.
He's able to capture the texture even if you've never been there. He sells the illusion that yes, you also grew up with these memories alongside me and you remember witnessing these small little details, and that is the greatest trick this movie plays. I think is convincing you that you stood there right next to Henry Hill the entire time.
We can get through a little bit of the nuts and bolts of this pedigree here, but there's one quote from and this to me it tempers everything the way that I watch every way that I watch this movie is sort of through the lens of this quote. It's in the foreword of Pileggi's book. There's some edition of Pileggi's book. I think that obviously came out after the movie, but the foreword to the book is Scorsese says, "The story was so big and so compelling, there was no need for a main character, just someone to guide us along. I saw the possibility of making the lifestyle itself the main character," which is like, that's the whole movie. It's incredible. And so like watching the movie through that lens is you start to see like all of those little tricks and all those little visual elements and freeze frames and the pace of the edits and slow-mo in certain spots and long takes and steady cams and like the way the needle drops, all of it is like working towards that thing of just like, here's the lifestyle. The lifestyle is the main character.
Few movies have an intro like just setting up the premise. It's just like they fucking stab a guy to death. It zooms in on a guy.
They kill a guy again.
Yeah,
like
they thought he was dead, and then one guy stabs him, the other guy shoots him, and then the third guy, like our window into this world is like, oh shit, and then it just kind of like zooms in on him. He's like, ever since I was young, I always wanted to be a gangster. And then again, fucking Tony Bennett flares up, and it's just a good time for the next 30 minutes.
It sells the allure of the lifestyle. Even though we know it's bad, it's just like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, and all the characters we meet along the way are going through that same process. And it's just like, to me, there's so much of this movie that's about like, normalizing the mob life in a way, presenting it as a way that it might seem second nature or it might seem everyday or routine. But it's like, this is just what we do.
Yeah.
And it's presented in that way.
And that's why you root for them.
Well, yeah, root for them or at least understand them. Like I'm not mad at Karen because she married into this. Like I get it.
And they do a good job of selling that, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm sure we'll talk at length about how specifically that insert of when Henry Hill hands her the bloody gun.
One of my favorite shots
Right,
in
like-
the whole movie.
An insert, one of the best shots.
Yeah.
Like one of the most powerful shots.
It's wild. We'll get to all that stuff. Let's run down a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of this thing. It was $25 million budget, somewhere in that neighborhood. That in its initial run, it made 40. One of the interesting things: 46,836,000 domestically, 46,844,000 worldwide are the numbers.
I received
two reads on that. Number one, it's like this is very much an American movie.
Yeah.
Or number two, they just didn't pay attention to how much it made. Globally.
Yeah, like no one cared. Like no one cared how much
In
it made
1990.
overseas. Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just gravy here. You know.
Well, the $8,000 that we made overseas, like whatever, it's fine. There might be some more out there. We don't need to write it down.
Well, they're all Godfather lovers everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's all your grandfather out there.
Yeah, my grandpa out
like
there
my
just being
Godfather
like-
better.
And his buddies, yep.
But it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress for Lorraine Bracco, Best Adapted Screenplay for Pileggi and Scorsese, and Best Editing for Thelma Schumacher. We're going to talk about the editing a lot. I think this is an incredibly well. Thelma Schumacher is her whole career. She's done nothing but incredible editing. The one Oscar it did win was Joe Pesci won for Best Supporting Actor. At
Did
the
Bauhaus?
Oscars.
Bauhaus get-
the DP, Michael Bauhaus,
Did not get
nominated.
Fucking crime.
Yeah, he got nominated a handful of other times, though.
Doesn't matter.
Does,
I mean-
but this one was good work. But this is another one of those movies that, like, the general look of it was... Because I did read an interview where he was talking about he sort of balked at the violence in the movie and maybe didn't want to do the movie because it was so violent. And Scorsese, the way he talked him into it was like, the violence is not the point. Like, I'm not glamorizing any of the violence. It's going to be part of the deal. It's just kind of
It comes with the
Part and
lifestyle.
parcel.
comes with the
Yeah.
territory. Yeah, it's cost of doing business is all this violence, and it totally is. But the other thing is, like, there aren't many beauty shots in this movie. There's a lot of, like, it's lit to look regular, which is its own kind of skill. And there's very few moments where the cinematography stands out just kind of on its own as its own thing.
I think, like, to your point, right? I think, like, a lot of the cinematography, it's almost invisible, right?
Yeah.
It's the long shots, the whip pans, the snap zooms.
I think the cinematography in this movie is more about blocking and movement than it is about, like, the actual texture of the image.
Yeah, I agree.
Which we'll get into your talk from a couple of years ago
dude.
with
First-
Steadicam legend Larry McConkey.
Larry McConkey, fucking character. For also first piece of content, first video I ever made for IGN. Very proud of that. I love that interview. That was like personal highlight.
It was an art of the scene. That was for
Yeah.
CineFix.
Yeah. Link in the description.
The other, surely. The other bit of pedigree. I mean, just a lot of times with these, we'll run down, like, the main players, like, but it's Scorsese and De Niro. Like, we don't need to rattle off their resumes. We know they've been doing consistently
but
good
it,
work.
like-
The one thing that I do want to mention real quick, Joe Pesci won an Academy Award for Goodfellas. Goodfellas came out the same year as Home Alone.
Yeah. They
Which
came
is
out months apart.
2 months apart. Goodfellas was still in theaters when Home Alone came out. You could go to the theater in November of 1990 and double feature Goodfellas and Home Alone, and that is wild to me. I'm not entirely sure why I can't wrap my head around that in a way that feels comfortable, but, like, it's hilarious.
Well,
Not entirely different characters.
I mean, it's also not. It's not. It's extremely infrequent when two stone cold classics, like unimpeachable classics. No one will sit here and tell either of us that Goodfellas or Home Alone aren't, like, seminal classics of the medium, are in theaters at the same time,
Yeah, that's
starring the same fucking
One of the
guy.
same dudes. Yeah.
The interesting thing here is, like, we're talking about pedigree and stuff, right? Like, De Niro, Scorsese, definitely, and to a lesser extent, Pesci, right? Because, like, Pesci was good in Raging Bull. He was, he's Leo Getz in Lethal Weapon 2,
Yeah.
right? So, like, he's Lethal Weapon 2 is the year before this in '89, and this is kind of like the ascent for Joe Pesci, because he's gonna make this, he's gonna make Home Alone, and then he's gonna go on to make, which is arguably probably Joe Pesci's number 2 performance, My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
Fucking love My Cousin Vinny. And then Casino, right? So it's like he goes into the 90s just...
There's also another Lethal Weapon sequel and Home Alone 2
Yeah.
in there, too.
I am sad we live in a world where a talent like Joe Pesci probably couldn't make it like he did today. Because like, in what kind of world where's this like small angry Italian man being able to captivate audiences in the fucking grittiest crime drama of all time, in my opinion. Also, terrorize a child in a Christmas classic, and then be the love interest for a young Marissa Tomei, as he's
An Academy Award winning Marissa Tomei.
An Academy Award winning Marissa Tomei, as he is learning how to be a lawyer on his first murder trial. Incredible.
Yep. All three of those roles, it's like, he's being very Joe Pesci. Like, to your point about, like, they're not entirely dissimilar. It's like, no, they're not. But, like, deploying Joe Pesci, and when you say it like that, too, it's like gritty, true crime, gangster movie, goofy Christmas classic, and then, like, romantic co-lead of a movie about, like, a comedy murder lawyer
with the young hot Aunt May.
And then, like, doing all of those three back to back, like being able to deploy a similar Joe Pesci in those three very different circumstances, and all three of them just sing. It's wild.
It's nuts. It's insane that he was able to do that. And to your point, right, like, the sequels came, and I will entertain the argument, though I disagree, that Casino is more or less a, like, spiritual sequel to Goodfellas, right? Because, like, you're talking about Lethal Weapon 3, you're talking about Home Alone 2. I would say Casino is, like, the Goodfellas entrant on that list. You know?
It's like a Goodfellas reunion tour. It's more of a meta sequel than a...
Because Nicky is not too different from Tommy.
No.
I don't mean to be out of order, no.
You don't mean to be out of order? She says, good, you don't mean to be out of order, Sonny. You call embarrassing me in front of my friends, like calling me a fucking deadbeat, you know? You know, Sonny, you're a real fucking mutt. You know the money we spend in this fucking...
About? Come on, don't be like that.
What do you mean, don't be like that?
We'll get to the Casino episode.
Will we? Maybe.
What are these fucking movies do you two like that I have to just fucking, like, do I just have to fucking shoot in the trunk?
You were like barreling through our budget for bleeps on this episode too.
This movie's really bringing something different out of Calibre.
It's bringing a different energy.
Like, what movie you like that I'm just gonna fucking shoot it? We'll go to my mom. We'll go to my mom's house, eat some of my grandma's fucking sauce, and then we'll just bury it.
Kill it again
in the woods. Where's the three? What is it? The fucking Three Amigos. Let's get it. Let's
no, you already did that.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other. We talked about gangster movies that owe a lot to Goodfellas, but like just the general cool movies that because. And we'll talk, we're getting into the Copa shot again, but you look at, the Steadicam, the long Steadicam takes from things like Swingers and Pulp Fiction, and like that kind of stuff became synonymous with just cool, So like even cool movies owe Goodfellas a debt.
Oh, 100%. But before we even get to that, like, I mean, I want to ask you guys this, like, on a personal level, like, when did this movie come into your lives? Like, how does it relate to your love of the medium in general?
I saw it a long time ago, but it wasn't until recently that I watched it again with, when I was professionally doing this, that I really started to get it. But like this is not a movie that I grew up with or that I watched as a kid or that I saw too young and it made an impression or anything. It was nothing like that. Like I didn't really come around to this movie until fairly recently, last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I'm pretty recent on this one in that I watched it for the first time in my late teens. My ex-girlfriend had kind of given me and her family had given me a crash course, like when I was like, I think I really like movies, and they're like, well, you got to watch X, Y, Z. You got to watch all of these things. And I just remember watching this and just kind of sitting enthralled, glued to the TV, just like, oh shoot, movies can just, like, I had seen The Godfather. I was like, yeah, it's like, it feels like going to mass, watching The Godfather. There's something, it's slow, it's plotting, and it feels all symbolic and meaningful. And then I would liken this to a very similar thing, except that it's like rock and roll Jesus, It feels like suddenly people are standing
one of
in
those
the pews
churches that has a drum kit up front.
And it's just like, oh, this is just cool. You can have symbolism. You can have, craft, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it's not stale, because Godfather is far from stale, but it's kinetic. It moves and it feels good, and it just is exciting. It feels like I'm reading a comic book to some extent. So yeah, that was pretty recent for me.
So this is like the second rated R movie I've ever seen in my life. I was like 9 years old when I saw like Goodfellas for the first time. Like, I saw Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger at my friend's house, and then when my dad got wind that I saw Eraser, it's just like, oh, all right, he's what, like,
doors open, here we go,
let's show him everything. So like,
here's your mag gun.
Right. So like, it's like, this is the perfect Marty Calabro, Michael Calabro viewing experience, because it's like, just proud Italians come from, like, the best part about this is this movie, my entire life has like made me relate to my family. Like, I grew up in a world where it's like, oh, all right, we're not that weird. This is what it's like. Like Henry Hill in this so much reminds me of my grandfather, and like watching this movie with my grandfather talking about like what it was like in the 70s and like 50s and stuff like that, like coming up in these like Italian neighborhoods. To put this into perspective, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania, right? I grew up always thinking that like my family was very similar to Martin Scorsese characters. I'm just like, dude, like fucking Pittston. It's just like a Scorsese movie, right? Like in these movies, you know, like the scene where like at the wedding and Paulie's introducing Karen to everybody. Yeah. If you ever been to an Italian house at Christmas, you have to go to people's houses, you know, you go see family. It's like fucking drilled into me since I was a kid. You walk into a room, you walk into a house, you go and say hello to every single fucking person in that room on an individual level. So it's like you walk in a room, there's fucking 20 people in there. It's going to take you 5 minutes to just go say hello to everybody before you can like go get a fucking coffee and sit down. And it's just like, hey, Michael, how you doing? Oh, Jimmy. Hey, Angelo. Oh, Maron. Like,
Paulie, Petey,
yeah, come on.
Marie.
And it's just like, you want some fucking ziti? And I'm just, and then like you fucking say hello to everybody, and then you sit down, and then you can engage in like the first conversation. Yeah. So it's like that kind of energy, just like, it's totally what I grew up with. But like, to bring it back to the story of like why Scorsese movies feel like home, it's, you know, I spent my whole life loving Goodfellas, and not only did I see it young and have it be extremely impressionable on me and just like super relatable of like, this feels familiar, but as I've gotten older and like I got more sophisticated in the way that I watched movies, it's just like you peel back another layer like every time, right? It's like, then you kind of realize movies are art, and then you kind of realize what cameras do and how cameras affect the way.
And really lucky too to be in a position where it's like, no, this movie feels like home to me, and then you grow up and you're like, oh, and it's actually a great movie too.
And it's just like an incredible movie. And it's just always kind of like
so many of those movies end up you get older and you're like, well, I'm just never gonna watch that again.
So like I kept on like growing up, and like this movie has always been there, and I feel like it matured with me, but really, I mean, it was set in stone the second they fucking published it. It's like, it's me changing my relationship to the film. And like, I remember watching it with my grandfather, like we watched mob movies a lot, you know, and when the last thing I got to do with my grandfather before he died was I specifically went home for Thanksgiving in 2019, and we watched The Irishman for the last time, right? Like, that was the last thing I've ever done with my grandfather before he died, and then I had to like go to his funeral in January of 2020. So it's like he died right before the pandemic, so he had a real funeral, and it's just like, the thing about the funeral and like all of this stuff is Joe Pesci's character in The Irishman is Russell Buffalino. And Russell Buffalino was the mafia boss from Pittston, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. So it's just like, finally, like a Scorsese character literally comes like close to home. Yeah. And like,
it's like full circle.
You go to a fucking funeral in Scranton, Pennsylvania in January of 2020, all anybody is fucking talking about is
the Irishman.
Yeah. Everybody's just like, Minga, you see the fucking Irishman? And like it's so cool. So it's just like, this movie has a profound effect on me as an individual of like, not only what shapes what I think is cool. So like, to anybody, thank you very much for watching like dozens of hours of us talk about movies. But when I complain about movies that like are about man versus nature and all that stuff, and like why those movies don't really resonate with me is because I've probably watched this movie twice a year for like the last 20 fucking years. This is the greatest fucking movie in my opinion. And you know what? It has like 0 trees in it.
Right. It's all parking lots and airports.
It's just fucking dudes not giving a shit and being fucking cool and like
in their yellow cardigans.
Like again, we talk about it a lot in the Uncut Gems episode, right? Like this is the seminal New York scumbag movie. This is like, I was 9 years old, I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, I don't know it yet, but I'm like, man, New York scumbags are really the coolest fucking people that ever lived. And it's just like
the coolest people to watch.
The coolest people. I'm having so much fun. All of us are having so much fun. This movie is awesome. All of these people are terrible. They're just terrible human beings, but they are fucking captivating.
Yeah, which and that's a thing that I mean from the start, from everything, all the accounts is like as soon as Scorsese read the book, he was like, oh, yep, nope, this is what I'm doing.
It's just wild, and even how like kind of like tinkers into it. Like when I was a kid, my superintendent of my high school went to jail for bribery.
Oh, nice.
So he's like taking bribes. Having my grandfather explain that to me is like that scene in The Simpsons where Fat Tony is like trying to justify organized crime to Bart, and he's just like, is it wrong to steal a loaf of bread to feed your family? And what happens if he doesn't like bread? He likes cigarettes. And like what happens instead of like giving it away, he's selling it at a price that's practically giving it. Like my grandfather is like basically using that logic to just tell me and be like, somebody wanted to give you 50 grand. You're not going to take it.
You're not going to take it?
You're not going to take it.
It'd be stupid not to.
Some kind of idiot doesn't take 50 grand.
Who would it? You gotta make a decision anyway.
It's going to give that 50 grand to somebody.
Yeah.
Might as well be you.
So like, that shit is just wild to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So to answer your question, no, nowhere near that meaningful to me, this movie.
No, this is...
It's great.
I mean, it is always nice, though, too, when you, like... I mean, I think the reason why anyone likes any movie podcast is because inevitably someone's going to talk about their favorite movie of all time, and they're just going to be really good about talking about it. Yeah. So this is yours.
Dude,
no, that's great.
That's great. I mean, listen, we're wearing the fucking sweaters here, all right? Visual gag. I've thought about this fucking shit. Let's just start here. Let's just talk about this stupid fucking gag.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you want to like quietly talk about like how hilariously awesome this fucking movie is. It's just like, these guys stole a bunch of fucking sweaters from a truck.
Yeah.
And it'll not be mentioned at any time. It's literally a fucking background
just
gag.
In the background.
A background gag, because it's really what it's like supposed to do is like Henry Hill is running numbers, so he goes to pick up the fucking numbers, and just in the background it's just guys like, oh, we got all these fucking cardigans here.
Yeah, just big smiles on their face, happy as clams, like trying them on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite is when he comes out of the shop.
Yeah.
There's a guy standing at leaning up against the thing, like just proud as hell,
feeling good,
wearing his yellow sweater. These yellow sweaters are the funniest and most inconsequential spot in this, but like the weight that they pull in this movie, it's perfect. It's done, and that's why this movie is so good. It's like details like that in the background, vibes like that in the background of just like, this is what it's like to be here. This is the lifestyle is the main character,
and how it permeates every facet, right? Like, so like when we're even like talking about like young Henry Hill, and they're like fucking handing out the booze, right? Like they're giving the booze and cigarettes to like
a crossing guard. Yeah,
right. Like the person who is just like,
I love
making
that.
Sure, like children cross the street safely, and it's just like, oh yeah, like here, let me just take all this fucking.
The crossing guard
cigarettes.
has just an armful of cigarettes. It's
like,
thanks, Jimmy. I'll be back later for the rest.
Yeah,
just so good.
Incredible.
Hi, Mom. What do you think? Look at my shoes. Aren't they great?
My God, you look like a gangster.
Go ahead and do brilliant moments here. I think you can't talk about this movie without talking about the very first scene.
The open, yeah.
The very opening, and it opens in the middle of things, literally in the middle of things. They're driving from one place to another, and we've already talked about it. They pull over. They hear him not dead in the trunk. They pull over. Tommy stabs him a bunch.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy puts 5-6 rounds into him too.
Yeah. Like not to get too deep into it, but it's like they didn't shoot the gas tank at all.
No, I guess he was shooting more closer to the spare tire, I would imagine, in the trunk. Hopefully, anyway.
I mean, one thing that stands out to me is, we have the introduction to our 3 characters up front, and just, you think, like, any other filmmaker, let's shoot an interior shot of a car, and we got to show all 3 characters. Cool. But I think Scorsese has a little pizzazz to it, where it's like, let's block them a little bit. You have Ray Liotta in the driver's seat. You have De Niro in the same depth, essentially. But in order to, get fun and creative with the frame, he's leaned back a little bit.
He's asleep.
And Joe Pesci's just all the way in the back. So it's just
holding the shovel.
There's just a fun frame right from the get-go. Any other filmmaker just we shoot all our 3 dudes. They're all sitting up and like, all right, let's go bury this guy now. But it's just something fun, a nice little touch. It's just something to add a little flavor to the scene.
The fact that De Niro's just asleep. Mm-hmm. They're on their way to bury a body, for Christ's sake.
Business as usual.
But the other thing that I love about starting in this spot is, and we won't know this until later, until the movie catches back up to this moment, is that this is kind of the moment where there's a tipping point, right?
This is the beginning of the end.
Yeah. So the structure of this movie is such that we see the rise, and we see we fall in love with this lifestyle. We see Henry Hill doing it. We see him on the up, and at some point he kind of crests, and then things start going bad, and then there's the drop off of that.
It's our midpoint.
And this
right?
this point, it's more or less in the middle of the movie when we get back to this part. It's a little ahead of the middle, but the fact that we start here, where it's this is the moment where they've gone too far, right? This is the moment where they've done some things that they can't take back and they're not going to walk away from ultimately, and it's the thing that starts the descent. And so to open there and then go back to no, here's how I ended up here.
Yeah, and
juxtaposing ever since I could remember I wanted to be a gangster with what he's doing right now.
That's the best part, right? Because the book doesn't do that. As a matter of fact, it was Martin Scorsese working with Pileggi to be we're actually going to start here.
Yeah.
So he completely understood the story, what he was trying to do, and it was just we're going to start in the middle, and we're going to work our way to it. Yeah. But in order, they needed to kill this guy in order to set up the beautiful juxtaposition of, ever since I was little, I always wanted to be a gangster. Because it's going from that to just the most fun time I'm going to ever have in a movie for the rest of my life.
Because it's all about understanding why. Why people would do this, you know?
And that's the beauty of having someone like Scorsese, right? He's someone who, almost was in the church, so he understands this idea of irrevocable change. When you make a decision and this is your cardinal sin that you've committed, and you are no longer beyond, you cannot be redeemed. And he knows what that moment is, and being able to structure a story in the way where we see a person who's wanted to become like the people he is killing, and so then it's just a matter of time of what happens when it's his turn, So it's just a fun little structure stuff going on. It's a good time.
Well, and even the look of that scene too, you're talking about religious overtones to things, the
Hellish.
red, the red, and later on when they have to dig him up, the red glow, that's honestly, we were talking about Michael Bauhaus's work.
Yeah.
That's the most
brake lights don't
that's the most
that
that's the most theatrical that I think the lighting gets, is when they're digging the body up later, and it's this crazy red.
Especially when they come back to it and you see them digging.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's way more
when they have to move the body because somebody bought they're putting condos in that spot, so we got to go get them right now.
But see, that Scorsese understand that movies are heightened reality, right? It's just the cool parts of reality that you want to amp up to 11.
Yeah. But once we get past this opening thing, is starting in the middle, and when we start to see Henry as a kid, the idea of falling in love with the world, the first thing that we see is an insert of Henry's eyes, young Henry's eyes watching, right? That's one of the first things that we see, and then these gangsters show up to the cab stand and they're getting out. My favorite one, I love the inserts in this movie, because one of my other favorite shots is the shot of the car raising, as a big guy gets out of it.
Yeah.
There's just a shot of the back of the car, and it comes up a little bit.
Foot
comes out, the car raises up. We see a ring closing the door. All of these little details are so important. Just the way that they move, they're none of these people necessarily need they don't necessarily need names. Like, I love all of these mostly faceless guys, and just we meet them by the ring,
Their pinky rings,
and the shoes, and the like all of those inserts is like how we meet them.
We're seeing it through the world through Henry's eyes, right? As a kid, we're not.
It's
a
that
part
insert
of
of Henry's eyes that we see right out the gate, which is great.
So smart, so clever.
The other thing that it establishes too is like there's nothing as much violence that happens in this movie, like. The violence is never the thing, right? So there's always a moment after the violence that kind of deflates it, right? That we continue to live. It happens a lot later with Joe Pesci and Frankie Carbone, by the way, might be my favorite character in the whole movie.
Oh my God, it's like a caricature.
I love that. I love that guy so much. But it starts here too with like, we meet Paulie and we see everybody kind of in awe of Paulie. And then after Paulie leaves, everybody's like, what are you doing? That was your fault. Like there's that moment of bickering. Like we let everything. Scorsese always does. I feel like a lot of his movies end very open, and with the idea that like the people in this movie will continue to live with their actions here, which this movie very does incredibly well at the end. But I feel like even scene to scene, like there's the action that happens, somebody dies, and then we still live in that scene for a moment. To where like no, this is just life. We see people kind of be like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Like there's that sort of energy after somebody gets their head blown off.
It's like, again, I hate to keep comparing to The Godfather, but I think it is showcasing the differences between the movie very well, because The Godfather ends at the big moment and then you move on to the next scene, whereas Goodfellas is more concerned with showcasing the reality of these decisions and the clumsiness of humanity and how people are, no matter how monstrous they may be, it's just a dude at the end of the day.
Well, and again, like dramatizing this to any degree would be disrespectful to it, because it's a real thing that happened. These are real people that died, and all of everything that we see is more or less, how it happened, because it was written by the guy that did it.
Yep.
So it's having that amount of respect for like, no, this is just how it is. This is real life, and like making sure that that's the thing that comes across.
We got to talk about the slow pan on Paulie eating.
Yeah.
Right? Every film professor will always tell you that VO is lazy. Right? Like, and there's always an exception.
Every Brian Coxon adaptation will tell you.
And there's an exception to every rule. This is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just the VO is setting up about like how much of their lives revolve around the eccentricities of Paulie, right? He doesn't have a phone in his house, so people are running around. Like basically all of like this beehive of crime is happening around Paulie, because Paulie's like the boss, and no better way to just emphasize of like how powerful this guy is and just how everything moves around him, of just like eating his sausage and pepper as it just like in slow motion as the camera just like finally pushes in on him and just being like, yep.
Well, and that's another perspective shot, right? Like, because that's when the VO is talking about how like I just watched, and so and again, this is like using technique to translate that, to adapt that to the screen. Whereas Henry Hill in his memoirs or in his in Pileggi's book is like, I just watched everything, and so to do that, like a lot of the stuff when Henry's a kid it's all based on pans. Like, I think there's a lot of like looking back and forth. We follow them across the street in the rain when they're getting on the phone. We follow them from the backyard. We see somebody walk over to Paulie, whisper something. We see Paulie look up to somebody, give a nod. We pan back over, see who he's nodding to. That guy sees the nod, then he walks a different and it's all, the camera is all from the same spot, but we're just like moving around to watch it. And like that's adapting the line. Like, I had eyes on everything. And that's the energy of it. And that's putting us in Henry's position of just like, this is how it happens, guys. Like, this is how you become a gangster from way back.
And it's also great, too, because it ends on, like, two really crucial moments, too, which are also great. Like, great scenes to, like, end the, like, young Henry Hill. First off, like, that guy gets shot in front of a pizza parlor, and, like, Henry doesn't know what to do, and he's just trying to help him. He's just, like...
Rapping and wasted aprons.
They're just like,
wasted eight
eight fucking aprons on this guy. We're going to toughen you up. And then, like, They get arrested selling cigarettes out of the trunk of a car.
And he's just telling the cops, it's okay.
It's
okay.
It's all good.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. No. And he's like, okay, come with me, tough guy. And then like he goes to court, like gets found guilty, and then it's just like all the mobsters are just there and just be like,
Yeah.
hey.
No, that's a great shot. Walking out of the courtroom and then like that. And listen, to season 4's theme, that's the family.
That's family.
That's family.
And you let out a sigh of relief because it's like, oh, he's made it now.
Yeah. Well, and especially coming from his home where he's getting beat up, you know, and his dad's beating him. But then here he's got guys that are like putting $1,000 in his pocket and giving him a big hug for not, you know, never rat on your friends and all that stuff. The other thing that I want to talk about, especially in this open, is the freeze frames.
Yeah.
I love how they use the freeze frames in the opening of this movie. There's the big one, which is you know, him running away from blowing up a parking lot full of cars.
Yeah.
And pairing that with VO about kids from the neighborhood taking home his mom's groceries is so cool. But I love how the freeze frames work, because to me they work like memories, right? There's those memories that just, you know, he's sitting here reminiscing about how he came to be a gangster, and there's these flashes of these images that have like outweighed sort of importance in his mind, and you know, this is the image that I'm looking back on fondly, you know. And it's moments like this, it's moments the first time he meets Jimmy is one. I mean, there's a handful of them all the way through the opening, especially his mailman getting thrown into the pizza oven is one. And it's these things where it's just like, no, focus on this, like live in this image for just a second, because if you hard cut away from that, like you can build a different kind of joke, a different kind of energy or whatever out of the mailman getting thrown into the pizza oven or whatever, but you freeze frame on his face, it's even a little out of focus, like it's not the most, it's not the cleanest one that they could have gotten, but it's that energy. It's such an interesting use because it is a freeze frame that conveys so much energy.
Yeah. Also, one other thing, and this is a theme throughout it, how many scenes start their establishing shot on the food, right? So it's like even when you meet Paulie, it starts on the sausage and peppers, guy fucking making the sandwich, pans over, you know, and he's just like this is like the guys are talking business, and then it's like the slow pan in on Paulie. And when he meets Jimmy, it starts on the fucking
sandwich tray.
The sandwich tray, and like Henry is making a sandwich, and it pans over, and then that's when Jimmy comes in the room and like lights up. And later when they're having the family dinner, it's like the top down. It's like so many of these scenes start up on a close up of food, and then dolly pan track. Even
later in the I want to say the prison stuff starts with a close up of the garlic.
Yeah, the garlic getting chopped with the razor blade.
But yeah, I mean, I think, and again, like, you know, the food and meals and, you know, all of that being central to their lifestyle is just like, that's another one of those things. It's like, this is the lifestyle. The lifestyle is the main character of this movie.
And I love the food. I feel like we're all in agreement here, but it's just the idea that this is, you do business over food. You make connections over food. Food is the great unifier among all humans, because at the end of the day, we do all need to eat, and so that's how people come to congregate again with each other. And I don't know. I think it's very delightful. It's so
I mean,
cool.
food. It's such a family thing. Like it's how you nourish each other, and it's like if you're sharing meals, like
there's some vulnerability.
Yeah.
But if you're putting too many fucking onions in the sauce.
That's a separate problem.
Yeah.
Where have you been? Well, Mom, I've been working nights.
And?
Well, tonight we were out late. We took a ride out to the country, and we hit one of those deers. That's where the blood came from. I told you. Jimmy told you before when I went to check. Anyway, you know what reminds me, Ma, I need this knife. I'm going to take this. It's okay?
Okay, yeah.
I just need it for a
bring
little
it
while.
back, though, you know.
So now Henry's an adult, right? And they show how easy they steal trucks, and then it's just like the bamboo lounge scene, and then it's the pan introducing each other. And again, back to growing up in like a world that feels like a Scorsese movie. Everybody had fucking nicknames where I come from, right? Like my grandpa's name was Sugar. Everybody knew him as Sugar. I would go into town and it'd just be like it'd be like, oh, you're Sugar's grandson. Tell your grandpa I said hi. It's just like, and he was like one of a couple brothers. Like he had one brother whose name was Polak. My like great uncle Polak was named that, not because he was Polish, but because he had blonde hair and blue eyes for an Italian. Then there was Schmitty and Big Head.
That's great.
Urban and Johnson, and it's just like everybody had a fucking nickname. And to that point, it's like you walk into a room and you have to fucking see all these people. And
you gotta
have to
greet
say
them.
hello to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not gonna bother bleeping any of this stuff.
Yeah.
We're just gonna put the E on the front of this.
It's awesome. It is just like it is a just bizarre social, like a bizarre social experiment.
Yeah.
Not even a social experiment. It's what I grew up around, and I fucking love it.
No, I mean this scene going into the Bamboo Lounge where everybody's all the nicknames and just getting each of them looking down the barrel.
Yeah.
Talking to Henry and like, yeah, I took care of that thing for you, or hey, you I want to talk to that guy, and like just
he's no longer looking across the street and wondering about what they're doing. He is firmly a part of their world, and now he knows them by name.
Well, and that's what them looking straight at the camera does, right?
They recognize
like, yeah, and now we're invested too. Like, you see how quick that happened? Yeah. Like, we're already in there. And I mean, that's the lesson, right? Is like, you grow up, you do some fun things, you get the family, you get that sort of found family in the mafia, and the next thing you know, they're looking right at us, and we're part of the family too. Like,
and what's great is like even scenes like that. Like, does this movie need that scene? Like, that's what style is.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I was talking to you about this earlier. It's just like Pete the Killer. It's like, and there's Sally Ball's brother, Pete the Killer, which there's a story in there that I want to know is like, hey, how many people did Pete the Killer need to kill to shed the nickname Petey Balls?
right.
Right? Because like, can you imagine if?
And is that why he killed?
Yeah,
that many
it's
people?
got to be related.
Because it's just like. How would you feel if your sister was just colloquially known as Sally Balls? Right?
I feel like killing some people.
Yeah, I think that would make you angry. And how does she get Sally Balls and he has no association with that? Like, they just have to go hard. Like,
yeah,
this is Pete the Killer.
It's Pete the Killer.
And he's just like, oh yeah, I took care of that thing for you.
I took care of that thing for you.
Yeah.
So good.
It's like Nicky 2 times, Frankie to Wop, like.
And one of the guys is no-nose.
Yeah,
he clearly has a nose.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he's got a bad sense of smell or something. Who knows? It's
Nicky
incredible.
glasses, like.
Yeah, it's great. Eyes.
Yeah.
The guy with
eyes,
all the glass. Yeah.
It's just like these nicknames were thought up in like 20 seconds 30 years ago, and
they stuck.
And their entire lives are defined by them.
Yeah. That's wild.
And then in that same opening, there's the shot when is it Frenchie? Is he the one who walks through the door? There's just a dramatic camera snap zoom on both Henry and De Niro's character, and it is just so jarring, and I love it for that.
Well, that's the moment it turns from pleasure to business.
Yeah. And it's so cool that it is so distracting.
You can see
that
how quickly they spring into action, right? Like, here comes Frenchie, and it's just like, yeah, I gotta go.
They take just the gigantic drag from their cigarette before they stand up.
The cigarettes in this movie.
I mean, listen, we're talking about this scene we have to talk about Joe Pesci here.
Yeah. This is we're talking about the Bamboo Lounge. We're talking about the Funny How.
Funny How.
Yeah.
Clown, I amuse you.
Yeah. Which improvised.
Not totally.
So,
like, Joe Pesci told Scorsese about an interaction he had as a kid with a mobster, and then like Scorsese loved it and was like, "Yeah, use that," but they didn't put it in the shooting script, so they can improvise the reaction of Ray Liotta and everybody.
Right. Yeah.
But they knew they wanted to tell that anecdote.
Yeah.
And it's just.
And it's one of the most iconic things. Ever.
And it's iconic for 2 reasons. It just so perfectly sets up Tommy DeVito, right? Like, not only in that moment of just, you don't know what the fuck this guy is going to do. And then the fucking idiot guy that runs the Bamboo Lounge, after overhearing this entire fucking loud-ass table shut the fuck up, because, like, the psycho little guy is just like, how am I funny? And he's just like, hey, Tom, you going to pay your bill? And then, like, context clues.
Yeah.
And then, like, that guy gets his entire fucking business busted out because he asked the wrong guy to pay his bill at the wrong fucking time.
Yep. Well, and that's the series of events too. It's like, number one, this scene out, in a vacuum is so good. It's wonderful. And it's one of those things that everybody's like, oh yeah, I know that scene, and then they slightly misquote it. It's like the Luke, I am your father of Goodfellas. Like, they're close, but they never quite get it right. But then, like, that series of events, once he loses the restaurant to Polly and everything, another one of my favorite sort of activity shots in this movie of just like visualizing what's going down is the in the front door, out the back door thing when they're fleecing the guy. And so it's and it's again, cameras, it's a pan. Like, it's not a move, it's not a swoop, it's nothing too complicated. It's just
it even has a fucking mirror on it.
It's just
they're
a
just
simple,
trying to be smart about it.
Yeah,
like
it's
they're
just
trying to be real ballsy about it.
It's an incredibly simple, like, we're right here on the corner, we're going in the front door, and it keeps and then people are moving stuff out the back door and onto another truck. And it's like the simplicity of how they shot that is just, again, like, this is breathing for them. This is second nature. It's such a simple thing to do. And some of the VO says it too earlier. Like, for us, like, it was ridiculous to live any other way.
Also, one of my favorite VO lines here. Not my most quoted. I'm gonna go through when we get to them. I'm like, a lot of my vernacular comes from this movie.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking crazy.
That's surprising.
But fuck you, pay me. It's like coming from here. It's like, oh, you had a bad week? Fuck you, pay me. Like, I love that scene. And the one last thing that I want to talk about too, because we're talking about like the editing and stuff like this with the Joe Pesci scene, is like how seamless, like how important the sound editing is there, because that scene is loud. The fucking music happens, everybody's getting introduced. It's just like a cacophony of fucking sound, right? Like, they're laughing, they're having a good time, and the sound, by the time it gets to like even to the point where like Joe Pesci is so fucking angry, he's like stuttering, he's like how am I fucking angry? Like, how am I fucking funny? And it's just like you can hear a pin drop. Like, well,
and more importantly, you can hear Ray Liotta like, funny. Like, you can hear him kind of
like the background music cuts out, right? It's not like the restaurant is gonna turn off the fucking music.
No, well, and you can see people in the background, like quietly turning around, seeing how it's gonna go, and then at the same time, you can also see people, like everybody else in the restaurant, laughing after he knocks the glass over the guy's head, and like, you know, everybody's having a good time at the end of the scene. You can see everybody in the background laughing along too. So it's like, this is a whole, you know, and I remember in the book, there's a version of this scene in the book that is all about how they're talking about how they all did this. Everybody did this. Like, people would come up and ask us for pay, and we'd, you know, knock them over the head. And so for the movie to then just focus it on Pesci's character doing it specifically, like, that still, like, that holds something back for Henry. Henry's still sort of giving us the tour of this world, right? So, because like, if it were Henry doing that at this moment in the movie, then like, I think we're out. You know? But giving that to Pat, like, it helps. It does a lot for Tommy's character to begin with, but then also, like, it saves Henry to still be our guide, which is another one of those, like, you know, adaptation bits that's just like, you nailed it.
And like they sum up the bamboo lounge so succinctly, right? They use it to establish the modern life, like, this is them as adults. Tommy's a fucking psychopath. How they're like, fundamentally how organized crime works, which is great. Like, you're this, we're gonna like run up the credit and then burn this mother down. Yeah. And that scene where they're like getting ready to burn down the bamboo lounge is also like low key one of my favorite scenes.
When Tommy's trying to get Henry to go on a blind date with him,
so,
to go on a double date.
So, like, a line I use a lot jokingly is prejudice against Italians in this day and age. Can you believe it?
I feel like I saw you put that on Slack just the other day.
I use it a lot.
But I love that scene too, because again, it's one of those moments that's just like, this is the most natural thing in the world. We're like sitting here trying to, like, would you just go on a date with me? Like, I'm trying to hook up with this girl. I need you there to be, and they're like bickering about it, just to the point where they forget that they just burned a building down, and they're like, oh God, and they got to take off.
It's so good.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
they're so casual about the life that you can't, like, the way that the mob life becomes second nature, becomes so just regular, and like, this is the everyday of it, is really remarkable in this movie. Yeah, they're committing arson and fraud, and it's like the least offensive thing that they do in the entire movie.
It's the afterthought when they're talking about a date.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Copa shot.
If you guys if you like this, like us talking about Goodfellas, please just go watch Larry McConkey talk about shooting this shot and everything that went into it. We did like CineFix did a 15-minute video on this. It is a love letter to what I think is maybe the singular greatest shot in any crime movie ever, that sells the allure of being a criminal in a completely nonviolent way.
Yeah. I think that's the two things that I think are great about this particular shot. And this being, second only to the yellow sweaters, maybe the shot from Goodfellas,
this is the
right?
shot.
For a shot that is the shot from Goodfellas, right? Like there's nothing violent happens. Nobody's even talking about doing anything violent to anybody else. And there's also this is a very quotable movie, as you know.
Yep. It's got no lines.
There's no significant dialogue happening in here. There's some hey, how you doing? There's some I think honestly the most quotable thing about this movie or this scene would be like, what, do you not have a job? Like I feel like that's a quip that you could, but outside of that, it's just going into the Copa. It's just the life. Like that's the thing that's on display here.
Because I would say for what 30 years before this movie came out, I would say that the reigning shot of the selling crime, like how cool crime can be, would have probably been the horse head shot in The Godfather, which is in and of itself violent, right? Because it's like how many people have said they made him an offer he couldn't refuse, right? That's the shot that sells that line. Like everybody knows that shot. And here comes this movie where we are going to completely sell you on the power and allure of being a criminal in the least violent way possible, which is like, I'm going to take this woman out on a date. Look at all these fucking schmucks waiting in line. Yeah. And from a plot point, I can't imagine this shot, which is the literal textbook oneer next to Touch of Evil. Sure. Right? In the Pantheon. Yeah, is one fucking sentence in
the
Wise
book.
Guys.
Yeah,
right? One fucking sentence. Martin Scorsese reads one sentence. Millions of people also read, and his imagination is just like, this is 2 minutes of my movie. Yeah, and it's 2 minutes of my movie because this one sentence and the sentence of however many fucking sentences are in Wise Guy is the thing that is going to completely sell the allure of the lifestyle that this movie is supposed to do.
Yeah, the book is more or less just sometimes there'd be a line and we went in the back way. Yeah, that's more or less it.
That's the beauty of adaptation, though, right?
Yeah.
It is parsing a giant text and seeing what is vital and what can be extrapolated to convey these 60 pages, and this is able to do it so succinctly and so cleverly. And again, it sells the allure of how the respect that he's getting from everyone else, but I think above all it's selling he is now a person who can show other people that I am important.
Well, and conversely, there's parts of the book that are 3-4 pages worth of stuff that are summed up by the close up of the ring and the car coming up and things like that. The other side of that coin is all of the inserts, all of everything. Some of those might be 3-4 pages worth of stuff in the book, but for this one too, the thing that I love about this scene is I read this as Karen's scene. Yeah, I think Karen's VO is leading up to it, but this is her being seduced by it. Yeah. We've seen Henry be seduced by it, and this is Henry using the lifestyle to seduce her, and her being seduced by the lifestyle. And I also love when they land at the table finally. She does get to spin a beat, and you can see her, and this is why Lorraine Bracco deserved every bit of that Academy Award nomination. But you can see her trying to decide if she's going to be okay with this, and she continually does. And we see it later again in one of my favorite shots of the whole movie is when he hands her that bloody gun. Yep. And it was just when a lot of my friends, if their boyfriend handed them a gun to hide, they'd probably run, but I didn't. And so it's but this is that moment where she sits down at this table and all of this dizzying entrance into the
because this is the allure and the gun is the price.
Right. Yeah. And she keeps going along with it.
But what's incredible about this scene too, and it's filmmaking. It takes a fucking village, right?
Right.
So talking to Larry about this, and it's just some of the best parts of that shot are not written in but exist because of the limitations of getting the shot in the first place. One of the coolest parts about this scene is just like him fucking walking through, duking every guy, like giving him like $20. Those guys exist not because they are in the script or anything, but they needed guys for Henry to interact with to slow them down so the camera could keep up.
Yeah. It's all stuff like, I can't get around this corner.
Fast
so
enough,
like I can't turn the corner with the physicality of the Steadicam was such that I can't turn around without bumping into something. So I like maybe just look at that chef and have the chef look back at you so that I can keep going straight this way and focus on the chef for just a second, and then I can move that way.
Yeah. Or
and
just
it's
like put a fucking guy there and just like have like stop and tip this guy because
I've only seen the back of your head. Like I want to see your face again for like as we're halfway down this hallway. So like let's put some people there making out. You can give them a hard time. That gives you a reason to turn around and like I can see your face. You know, it's all those practical things. And I think that they did it this way too, in part because Copacabana wouldn't let them go through the front door.
Yeah.
Like this scene in general, like to begin with, from the jump was like a workaround. And they did it in such a way that is so like thematically perfect, and like this is one of the things. This is why I love movies. Right? Is there were This is problem solving, it's storytelling, it's like
character.
It's character. All of these things are like pulling in the same direction, and it wasn't anybody's idea to begin with. Yep. Like the process of just putting something on film resulted in this thing that nobody. They walk into the kitchen. Because Michael Ballhaus was like, the light's different in there. Yeah. It'll look different for a second. We got to go in the kitchen. Scorsese's like, oh, okay, go in the kitchen.
Yeah, because like,
but there's only one door.
They make the shot longer because all like they had to do was make a left, and they would have been in the club.
Yeah,
like, in the club, but
there's only one door. They come out the same door that they go into the kitchen. They just go into the kitchen and make a loop, come out the same door. But they had the production put up a new wall or dress the wall differently so it looked a little different on their way out. And then McConkie talks too about like he's like, you know, and I just had people crossing and enough stuff happening to where you kind of lose track of where you are, and so you really have to pay attention to realize that you just kind of did a circle in the kitchen. But like the energy that gives, and like the story that tells, and everything that it does for Karen, for Henry, for everybody at this particular moment in the movie. And all of it is a result of just problem solving and working together. Because the other thing that Scorsese did was he was like, they get out of the car, they walk in, and then they'll sit down. Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
The table was Scorsese, though.
Yeah, the table was Scorsese. That was his whole thing. But like, but he was basically like, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yep. Like,
then you guys block this out. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, and then it was Larry McConkie and Ray Liotta too. He was really helpful in like, do you want to should we just block this? And McConkie's like, yes, please. And it was the two of them that
we
was
need
like,
to practice.
It was the two of them that worked out all the stuff about like, maybe tip that guy, maybe So it's just the fact that this shot exists is kind of an accident, and the fact that it's incredible and that we're still talking about it, 35 years later is just as incredible.
And let's not forget the needle drop, right? Like the Motown just like completely sells this thing, because like you don't even like, they're in a fucking kitchen. That kitchen is loud as fuck, and there is no music in it, but like you don't hear any of that, and it's just like the Motown like just seducing you in. You're just like being whisked around. Table comes flying out, like magically fucking lands, and like here you are front and center on the stage.
Yeah. For Henny Youngman.
Yeah, getting poured champagne. I'm like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a union delegate.
I'm a union. Yeah. Well, and that's another my favorite bit of the whole thing. Those two bits of performance at the end of that between Lorraine Bracco and Ray Liotta. They sit down and Lorraine's like we talked about going through all of her like this is incredible, but like holy crap, and then him just very casually like this is the company line.
Yep.
Like I'm in construction. I'm a union delegate.
I have a nice no-show job.
Yeah, let's watch this guy. Oh, look at that, it's Henny Youngman.
Look at how close we are.
Apparently, Henny Youngman also kept biffing his lines at the tail end of the shot, so they had to do it
multiple takes. Imagine getting
take my wife.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah. What?
I think that's probably why they also cut away and do the heist, right? Because you want to talk about editing and juxtaposition.
Yeah,
right?
That is what I want to talk about next. Let's talk about Thelma Schumacher.
Yeah. So like that, I think that scene is like the perfect thing. It's like they're laughing, having a good time on this date, and it's just like, how does he even get these seats? And it's just like that is playing under why they're walking into like the Lufthansa like waiting area to just steal a $500,000. You know, and they walk it out.
And you're still hearing Henny Youngman's bit.
Because that's the job that the bad guy from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
that's who he is. Like that's the job that the bad guy
Frenchie.
from Frenchie puts him on to.
But yeah, no, I love that we're still hearing the Copa underneath the bits of that, because it's like it connects the two in a way that is it's immediate, right? Like you're connecting, like, yeah, this is the life. These are both, this is the same life. You know, it's like, yes, it's glitzy and it's glamoury, and you get to walk through the kitchen and tip everybody, and everybody's happy to see you, and it's great. Also, you're going to steal $500,000.
And he's
like,
also, and it's great too, because the guy's just like complaining about his wife.
Yeah. It's
like the
great.
bit is just like, well, like, you know, it's just like complaining about like the domesticity of
right,
his
right.
wife. And,
I mean, it's the afterthought, right? You know, it's them sitting outside the club while they're talking about the date. It's just something that they have to do while their regular life goes on. It's delightful.
What do you do?
What?
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
You don't feel like you're in construction.
No, I'm a union delegate.
Let's talk more about the editing in general, though, because I think where it really starts to hit for me is kind of in the second half, and it's around the wedding too. There's two sequences that are they're not quite back to back, but they're close. There's the wedding scene where you know, which comes immediately on the heels of her hiding the gun, which it combines two of my favorite things about this movie. Is that one is the editing, and two are the inserts. Like seeing there's a little bit of slow motion, some very subtle slow motion when Henry beats the shit out of the guy across the street, and then hands her the gun. She's like, "Go hide this gun," and she's hiding the gun. We look at the gun, then an insert of her hiding it, and then we're on a close up of them stepping on the champagne flute, getting married, which is like, there's that, to your point about like, this is what the life is, this is the cost, and then here's her completely bought in.
Yeah.
Like stepping on the glass.
That scene where he beats up that guy across the street also has a frequently used phrase of mine, which is "fucko."
Calling people fucko.
Yeah, you got a problem, fucko? I don't know, like like adding O to fuck.
It's very fun.
It's a great noun. It makes it so much more fun to say fucko. Yeah. Hey, fucko.
But you know, this is all still sort of part of the movie where we see Karen falling for the life, right? And her still trying to understand the life and all of that stuff. But like what the wedding really does for me is like, you start to see the pace of it, and she starts to get dizzy by it, right? And the very specific
she's just
moment,
being fucking handed envelopes and
that's the very specific moment where she's sitting there, and everybody in the room is coming by. They got an envelope of cash and they're handing it to her. They lean over, they kiss her, they say congratulations, she says thank you. And like the way that routine just keeps getting a little bit faster every time, and then like it ramps up to the point where she then stops and she looks at the line of people that's going around the entire ballroom, and then it lives very quietly on this moment of her, like, dizzied is how I would describe it, like her being overwhelmed by all of this. But it's that pace that leads up to this shot of her like, oh God, like it's her realizing what she's getting into. And then a scene or two later, she's at this makeup party with all the other wives, and it's that same pace. They're like, it's snapping around the room from one woman to the other, and they're all saying stuff like, you know, oh, she's a drunk, and I don't know.
Oh, their anecdotes are fucking
nuts. They are a cutting group of people. Yeah, you know, the freeze frames and everything like that, and you know, letting the audio from the Copa shot live underneath the next scene. All of that is good stuff. But like when these two sequences get paced up. And that's, again, it's if the life is the main character of this movie, like here is Karen's experience with it, and it's that like she can't keep up with it for a minute. It's overwhelming. Like it's great. It's such an incredibly edited sequence.
She's got to say hi to all of them at the next, birthday, Christmas.
Well, it doesn't take long, right?
You have to make your rounds around the fucking room. You got to, or else people are gonna think you're a fucking asshole, and you don't want that.
You treat me like I'm nothing.
Yeah. Fucking matter with you. Come on.
I mean, I do kind of say that half joking, but I do think it's perfectly valid because, you know, like your family, that's very common in my family as well, where you have like 40 people you got to say hi to at every family gathering. And for a lot of people, that's not a normal thing to do. So it is like a level of you bought in, you committed to this.
Dude, yeah. What was it like when you brought your partner around for the first time and you have to just have that moment?
Got to remember a lot of names.
Yep.
It's the thing I'm least good at in life, remembering names. Tommy's mom, who is played.
There yet.
We're not there yet.
We should talk about Donovan. We should talk about the fucking Billy Bat scene first.
Okay, the shine box.
Yeah. If I wanted to insult you, I'd tell you to go home and get your fucking shine box. Also, a line I use a lot. Like anytime, it's just like, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You offended? If I want to fucking insult you, I'd tell you to go home and get your fucking shine box. Make your shoes look like Mia's.
I mean, it's the perfect like lit fuse.
Yeah.
You just know something horrible is about to happen,
Oh
and
God.
it's just you're just waiting for the fuse to catch up and ignite.
It opens with the title card of The Date, and I think they only do that twice.
Yeah.
There's this, which is obviously no accident, because this being the day that ends with where we first meet him. Like this is the day that ends with the very first scene in the movie, right?
Body in the trunk.
This is the murder of Billy Bats.
Yeah, the movie goes out of its way to point out what day it is. The other time that it does this is another sequence I want to talk about is the day that he gets busted.
Oh, we'll get there.
Which is 10 years later. I think this serves more of a function narratively than it is like technically super interesting, because I feel like it's as far as this movie goes, like it's shot pretty well, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole lot of you know character work, and you get to see how easy it is to push Tommy's buttons. And the fact that it's simple and straightforward, again, I think is another one of these examples of like, here's a moment we're choosing to present really simply, really basic, and like this is how easy it happens.
Yeah.
So like there's no trickery here. It's just like, no, Tommy's an idiot.
Yeah.
Tommy's crazy.
Also, Frank Vincent in this scene is fucking incredible. Like
the guy that plays Billy Bats.
Like there's so much from this scene. Like even like moments of this. Like the guy who plays Billy Bats, Frank Vincent. Like he's another one of those like Italian guys like that does it really well. And he's just like, come here. Like I haven't seen you. I'm just fucking breaking your balls. And then it's just like another De Niro moment. Just like he insulted him a little bit.
A little bit.
Like
that's honestly that of all the things that I could quote from this movie.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's probably where it begins and ends for me.
Yeah. And then tells him to go get his fucking shine box for the last time. And they come back, and then fucking Donovan, like, way down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And talking about the needle drop?
Yeah, like, what a fucking needle drop that is. It's just like, Donovan, of all the things. Like, can you imagine just getting fucking stomped to death and murdered to Donovan? And, like, also, like, other shit that comes out of this, like, the De Niro arm flail.
I mean, I think also from a scripting perspective, this scene is kind of fascinating because you are understanding so much history in the span of just seconds with, the shine box. And, there's very clearly a point of contention between the two. And just you can tell that Billy Bats is a guy who kind of leverages, like, I've been in this business for a bit.
I mean, he just
and you guys are the new people, you know?
Yeah, he just got out of jail.
Yeah.
And so it's just so much that you can unpack with just a few short lines of dialogue that I think it's very, very clever and very cool.
But I do think that, like as hard as this scene goes, I think this whole sequence is made by Tommy's mom. The fact that they go to his mom's house, who like Tommy's mom is played by Martin Scorsese's actual mom.
Yeah.
And she's legit great. She's so good. And that's, part of it is probably just like
that is
the natural Italian energy of this whole movie.
Every every grandma I've ever met is like, it's like, come on in, come on, sit down. You hungry? You gotta eat. You want to eat?
I love it. They show up in the middle of the night. It's like, no, let me get you some food, and then a hard cut to a table full of food.
and a testament to like the editing. It's just no. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you hungry? You hungry? No. We gotta go. Hard cut. Everybody's sitting down eating food. Like,
even with a body in the trunk. And you know, I think that there's, because this, you know, we were talking about this earlier too, but like, there's a version of this movie. Because what is this movie? 225, something like that. 2.5 hours, somewhere in there. There's a version of this movie where at some point the studio says like, we got to get it down to 210, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you know, there's math that says if it's 2 hours instead of 2 hours 25, we can get one extra screening every day, and that'll, you know, X amount of dollars, blah blah. But there's a version of this movie where they're trying to nip and tuck it like that, where this scene is just the last shot of it, which is the push past Tommy, like from the table past Tommy to the trunk, right? To remind us that there's a dead body in that trunk and that we're having dinner with our mom over. But instead, we get 3-4 minutes of just wholesome family. Why don't you settle down with a nice girl?
I settle down with a nice girl every night.
Look at my painting, like my painting.
Oh my God!
Like it's such a sweet and tender and humanizing moment that's immediately coming after him just losing his mind and killing a guy because he's angry.
Yeah.
Like for no rational reason other than like he made fun of what I did when I was a kid.
Yeah. And like that, and to your point, right? Like Scorsese like tells his mom, like she, like when he's like directing his mom on the scene, he's not telling her that there's a dead body in the car.
Yeah.
He's just like, your son's home.
Your son's home.
Yeah, she's just, and like, it is the most humanizing scene from Tommy, who is like, bar none, the most like despicable, like even more like of a despicable villain than Jimmy, because he's more unhinged.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah, well, so is Jimmy. I mean, there's gonna be a montage of murder in like 20 minutes, and it's not Tommy that's doing it, you know. But like the point I'm trying to say is just like, this is a scene where it's even this guy, like even Tommy, is unconditionally loved by his mother.
Yeah.
And she is just so fucking happy to see him.
And he loves her right back.
And he loves her right
too.
back. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because he's just like looking at the painting, you know, he's like complimenting his mom's painting. Also, that painting is painted by Nick Pileggi's mother.
This painting? Oh, really?
Yeah. On the 30th anniversary of Goodfellas, The Ringer did a deep dive on the history of the painting and like the National Geographic photo that this painting is based off of. It's incredible.
No, I love this scene. It's so and so necessary to the entire point of the movie. Like as much as you want to say like narratively it's a little bit fluff and there's, you know, it doesn't necessarily move the plot along at all, but like what it does for these characters and these people and this lifestyle, again it all goes back to the lifestyle. Like these people still care about their mom. They can't, there's a dead body in the trunk and they're not going to tell their mom I can't stop to eat.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
which is
my favorite part about this too is like just to separate it too is just, you know, De Niro and Ray Liotta, like Jimmy and
Henry
aren't full Italian, but at least like Henry's mom is Italian. Like Jimmy's the only one that touches the fucking ketchup bottle on that table.
Yeah.
Right? Like
God, he puts so much ketchup on
there's-
whatever that is.
Like, what the fuck is that ketchup
Why is
doing?
it even on a table?
Yeah, my grandma had it, but like my grandma's not cooking me any fucking food that needs.
I mean,
ketchup.
you got to stand up and go open the drawer to get the ketchup.
Yeah.
It's not on the table automatically, you know.
My grandma's like making me fucking raviolis.
And you're just gonna like shake a bunch of ketchup out onto. I've never seen anybody do ketchup like that anywhere else.
Apparently, that is how the actual real Jimmy Conway did do ketchup.
Really?
De Niro was so into like getting it accurate. He was asking Henry Hill how Jimmy Conway used ketchup.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody else do it like that.
I love that that's a Scorsese note that the fucking Irish guy needs to use the ketchup at the table. And then De Niro is like, well, how'd this fucking guy use ketchup?
Listen, we can talk about every scene in this movie, and we're getting close to actually doing that. But I do want to talk, because we just talked about one of this day that was called out with a lower third.
With a title card.
With a title card. The other day that's called out with a title card, and more emphatically, because it's just over black, is the day that everything officially goes wrong. You know? And I feel bad because we're skipping a lot of stuff.
Well, we can't... Listen, all right. Let me be clear. We could consolidate this, right? I don't think we have to talk a lot about like Henry's Gumar and like the marital stuff with like Karen. Like it matters, right? But it only matters within the context of the scene that you are skipping over that I don't think we should, which is the prison scene.
Prison scene,
right?
Yeah.
They even for a fucking second have been held even slightly accountable for their numerous crimes,
violent crimes,
and they're getting fucking lobsters delivered to them in prison. Like
they're living like kings.
They are. They don't even have to fucking work. Like they don't have to even like. Only Henry has to earn while he's in there, and like they're just like fucking Polly has nothing better to do than to fucking shave garlic. Right? They're getting fucking steaks and lobsters delivered to them. We're free men. I'm not having fucking steak and lobster for dinner and a pasta sauce tonight. As much as I very much want that.
Right. What are we doing after this?
Oh my god. I got.
There's a prison cell with our.
Am I making my grandma's sauce this weekend?
You might just talk yourself into it.
Yeah, it might be.
There's so much of that stuff, and again, it's all told through camera movement, through the way that things move in and out of their life. I think is another interesting thing with how this movie is shot, right? With all the blocking, all the camera movement, pans from this guy, just following the guy, bringing the thing of lobsters in there, and like going from the table over here all the way over to the sauce that's on the stove. All of that stuff is done with some degree of camera movement, and like it would have been so easy to just like this shot, that shot, this shot, but like to give it all the energy of like, here's something coming into their lives, here's what they're doing with it, here's how it moves out of their lives. Like it's
also just incredible that like Karen Hill has to smuggle both prosciutto
and drugs. Yeah.
And like loaves of Italian. Like when they're like fighting in there and she's just like, yeah, take it. And she's just like fucking shoveling out this like sopressata.
And then like, also see his mistress's name in the guest book too. Like on top of all that.
Janet Rossi and Tua is a whore. God.
Lorraine Bracco
that reminds me of my grandma.
So good.
Hardcore.
Wait,
my grandma's like tough like that. She'd fucking yell at anybody. What are you fucking doing?
Well, what else do we need to talk about? This is your chance, man. We're doing.
So we did the prison
You
thing.
wound up on a podcast where we get to talk about Goodfellas.
Oh God. So, listen. All I'm gonna say right now is he gets out of jail and now he's getting into drugs, right? Like, so killing Billy Bats thematically is the beginning of the end, right? Or at least is the hard end of the good times.
Right.
Now, times haven't gotten exactly bad, but they're living even in excess, and even for their lifestyle,
A little bit on borrowed time.
Because like even when you look at fucking Paulie, right? Like Paulie is a fucking king, and he is eating his sausage and pepper in a king in like a dirt-strewn backyard in like a fucking
on a lawn chair,
on a like in fucking Brooklyn on what I'm sure is the backyard of a brownstone. But like lives within his means. Like now that they have this fucking drug money coming in, which they were warned not to fucking do, and they buy the most fucking gaudy house you would ever imagine, right? It's like the gold paper, there's gold wallpaper. The fucking wall opens up.
Yeah, with remote control. There's that
it's
great
like a Bond
shot.
Villain
Yeah,
shit.
there's the shot that I'm thinking about is the Christmas. Thing where Jimmy's like, hey, don't. Here's a little Christmas present for you. Don't go nuts with it. And then it's a hard cut to him charging through the front door and be like, I got the most expensive Christmas tree I could find. And that scene ends with a shot of him handing just a wad of hundreds to Karen, and she accepts it with the biggest diamond, like huge rock on her finger. It's all the stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the stuff money's coming in, going out. I mean, he says it at the end too, like in his big monologue at the end, where it's if we were broke, we just went and got more money.
Yeah.
Like,
just quick aside, another shot I use a lot in Giphy on Slack
Mm-hmm.
is hey Jimmy, like when they successfully pull out.
Oh, in the shower?
Yeah, and he's in the shower.
Yeah.
Oh God. This movie fucking rules.
Yeah.
There's not 2 hours and 26 minutes, not a wasted fucking frame.
no, and there's thought behind every frame in this movie that
It's all cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And then it's just like fucking Jimmy, the beginning of the downfall, right? Like now everybody's starting to die. And it's,
And that Derek and Domino's song to them finding all the bodies.
Yeah, and like here's you talking about, you know, let's talk about Carbone, right? The two fucking great Carbone moments, which is when they kill Stax.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's character, and like Tommy and Carbone come in, and like Carbone's bubbling around. He's like, "Oh, you want some coffee? I'll make some fucking coffee." And it's just like Tommy fucking shoots him. Carbone theoretically knows that they are there to kill him.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a fucking surprise.
Right.
And he's just like, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to make the fucking coffee or not? And he's just like, no, put it the fuck down.
He's still holding the coffee.
Bumbling around
after,
with the fucking
and
percolator.
That's what I was talking about earlier. And that's one of the reasons why I love Frank Carbone so much is like he is key to that energy of like, this is just the life.
Yeah.
Like he's such a doofus, you know, like he, and just like, oh yeah, no. Okay. I mean, I guess you want me to keep making the coffee? It happens again when they kill Maury, the wig guy. And he's, you know, all right, let's chop him up. He starts to get out of the car. He's like, what are you doing? No, we're going to chop him up somewhere else. Oh, yeah, no, we'll go somewhere else. And he's like,
no,
well, I got to let the car
Charlie's.
warm up a little bit. He's like, what are you doing? It's
Like
so-
a guy is fucking sitting dead in the driver's seat. He's waiting for the car to warm up.
Yeah,
You're
it's incredible.
desensitized to everything, right? At that point.
It gives you that sense of this is just regular life.
Yeah.
Like this is just how things are, and this is perfectly normal. And it's all those moments after the violence, because all of those scenes, like we could have gotten out of that scene after, you know, Stax's brains shoot out all over his bed, or after, you know, he pulls the ice pick out of the back of Maury's skull, like whatever. Like we could have gotten out of those scenes after the murders happen, but because we don't, like that would make the scene just about the murder.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that the scene is about. But instead, it's about the bigger. This is the life, you know, and like the people that are doing this, and this is how they behave, and and Frankie Carbone, so great. Just he's such a perfect foil for that thing, and I legitimately, even watching it again today, before we shot this, seeing him in that ice truck, I got sad. I was sad for Frankie Carbone. I was like, oh man, I was hoping he'd get out of this.
This time.
Yeah.
Ah, dude, so fucking good. And like one of the better needle drops too, right? To like Layla.
Yeah.
And it's just like pushing, like panning up on the fucking pink Cadillac. Artie Lang dead.
Yeah, and the kids finding him.
Yeah.
It's a great sequence.
Tommy's death is honestly incredibly unremarkable, which is I think the point. Like it's done quick, it's done from the top down, and it's a unglamorous way to die, which I definitely think is thematically part of part of what they're kind of conveying. And just like this is the first time in the movie where you see real emotion from any of these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's just like it really hit.
Yeah, well, Jimmy starts crying.
Yeah. In the tone booth, and they come out and it's just like some real greaseball shit, you know. And then that is the beginning of the end, because then we're gonna get into the fucking coke-fueled paranoia thing.
Yeah, yeah. Part of the other thing with Tommy's death, and again, it's we get to check in with his mom again before he goes and gets made. She's so proud of him and all that stuff, and so like that hurts a little. Yeah. You know, again, just humanizing this guy who's just walking into his death. Coke-fueled paranoia.
Yep.
So this sequence, it starts out with Sunday, May 11th, 1980. The VO gives this sequence a lot of energy. Because I love that he's got to pick up drugs. He's doing a line at 7 a.m. already, first of all. But he's got drugs to pick up from people in Pittsburgh. He's got guns to sell to other people. He's got, you know, Jimmy doesn't want the guns. He'll sell the guns anyway. I got to drop the guns off of my mom. But peppered in through all of that is like he also has to cook dinner.
Yeah, and he has to pick up his brother.
Yeah, I got to pick up my brother from the doctor. I gotta you know, make the sauce. I got these veal cutlets that they're just right, you know, and like making dinner is just as big a source of anxiety for him as selling the drugs, getting the babysitter on a plane, like strapped down with coke and on a plane to Pittsburgh. Get like all of these things Is the helicopter following me or not? And
He's
also
fucking rolling
making the
meatballs.
meatballs
Yeah, he's like,
is
but,
just as important.
Watching that shot, he doesn't actually put it the fuck down. He's like
He's
rolling
just
the meatball.
because he's so coked up, and he's just like sprinting through
He's
these
thinking
meatballs.
about everything else.
Yeah, but all the helicopters flying around and everything, like this is such his anxiety like comes through so well throughout this entire sequence. It's great. And the needle drops in this, the music in this, like there's 3 or 4 of them throughout the day, and they're all loud, and they're all like sort of working against the energy of it. Like they don't quite fit. Like this is another thing that like
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is an uncomfortable scene. And in Thelma Schumacher, again, like the way that this is paced and the way that this is so like difficult to sit through.
In the way that everything up to this point was almost effortless, in the way the camera kind of pans over everything, it's nice and elegant. This is almost the exact opposite of it. It's very like frenetic, and it's very just jump cutty, but not in a way that is bad. It's just selling the illusion of we are paranoid now.
Yeah. And it's
the camera movement's more erratic. It's handheld as opposed to just, gracefully panning left and right. Feels just wobbly all the time. It's lovely.
And like, let's not forget, like, one of my favorite shots in the movie too, the dolly zoom to the Rolling Stones as he's just taking the fucking line at the, I forget what his Gumar's name is. Fucking
Janice,
yeah.
Yeah.
I bought you the fucking dishwasher. Why, like, pigsty?
Oh, I think that's Sandy.
That is Sandy.
Yeah.
Janet Rossi is the first one.
Yeah. Sandy's just his she's like cutting the coke for him or whatever.
Oh my God. It's just like that scene. It just
and making a thing out of the dishwasher, and then having those dishes show up covered in coke at the police station.
What are you baking over there?
Are you making a cake?
Making a cake?
I do love that the 2 days that are flagged by the title cards in this movie are the 2 biggest, most important days. And they're the ones that happen more or less real time. Like this movie covers 30 years worth of this guy's life, and then sizable chunks of this movie are both like, I think there's as much that are kind of like fast forward through, but like half of the movie is spent on those 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to the end, one other thing is like, I love all the scenes of them fucking playing cards.
Just everybody playing cards?
Oh my God. Did you guys grow up around like people playing a lot of cards?
Yeah.
It was dominoes.
It was dominoes?
Yeah.
My grandfather was like a part of a club. It was called the Orioles Club. And it's basically like him and a fucking bunch of guys. They just bought a house that was in my grandma's backyard. Now, my grandparents were separated angrily. For most of my life, my grandma fucking hated my grandpa. That's why I love those Karen Hill scenes, because they also very much remind me of my grandma. Right?
Okay.
So Suge used to just like hang out at this fucking club gambling all the time. And like, I genuinely think that kept them smart, like kept them sharp. Like my grandpa died at 104, and like sharp as a fucking tack.
Yeah.
But like, there's these like really great like those scenes of just these guys fucking hanging out playing cards all the time. It's just like, that's what they fucking did. When I was growing up, there was this moment when my cousin came home from school, right? And he had to stay at my grandpa's with my grandpa, and he's 22 years old, right? And he's just like, fuck, I don't want to wake up my grandpa. Like, so he's trying to like creep into my grandpa's apartment at like 2:00 in the morning, like takes off his pants, like falls asleep on my grandpa's couch, only to be woken up 3 hours later, because that's when my grandfather was
your grandpa come
because like Suge was out playing cards till like 5:00 in the morning.
That's great.
And it's just like those scenes, those spreads, just it's like literally
just rolled lunch meat and
literally it was just like they had a house. There was like beer in the fridge and lunch meat on the counter in the kitchen, and like the living room is just a fucking card table. Yeah. And all these guys are just sitting around playing cards till the crack of dawn.
Till however,
yeah. It's dude, this movie fucking rules. Everything about this. These are the fucking coolest guys.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, let's go ahead and fast forward to the end. I mean, it's we can't, because I also love the scene where Karen goes to Jimmy for help.
So
and Jimmy's pretty clearly about to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop.
Well, no, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, like the great part
Is it
about
the
it
paranoia?
is, yeah, because it's like there's definitely that coke paranoia involved, but at the same time, like he has the incentive, and it's not like this guy had like it's not like this is something new to him.
But earlier in the scene, it's like you know what is it? You know what they're asking him about? You know anything? Like he's kind of fishing around for info and all that stuff. But
two things coming up to the end that I really like. It's like I think why the Pauly character is really good, and even though he's like the fucking like boss of this like criminal, like large criminal enterprise, right? Even after Henry Hill completely fucks up and everything like that, Henry still goes to him and is just like, dude, you did exactly what I told you not to fucking do. Here's the $3,000 I have.
Here's
in my
whatever
pocket.
I have in my pocket.
Yeah. Here's like $3,000 I have in my pocket in like what 1980.
Yeah.
This is it. And then like the VO, it's like $3,000 for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Which is like a great line, but like it humanizes Pauly of like even these criminals and these like absolute fucking gangsters are still human beings.
Yeah.
Capable.
Well,
of
and
empathy.
the way that he delivers that line, I got to turn my back on you now.
Yeah.
Like that hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can he feels that.
He's getting kicked out of the lifestyle he wanted so bad.
Yeah. But then there's like the last shot and like another like dolly zoom where
the really slow one where
Jimmy is asking him to go on a hit for the first time, and that's when he's like, here's the moment I'm gonna go into fucking witness protection because I'm not coming back from this.
Yeah.
Not coming back from Florida.
Yeah.
Also, is this like the Hitchcock like push pull
The dolly zoom,
maneuver?
yeah.
It looks nuts.
Well, and it's usually quicker. Right, like this is such a slow example of it. Like, and it just kind of keeps going, and it keeps, which obviously by design, like it like we're not used to seeing this happen so slow, and so like it just the moment just drags and feels weirder and weirder and more uncomfortable, and you just it allows you to slowly realize how wrong something is, and so doing. What is this? I don't know. I didn't put a clock to it, but 30, 40 seconds. I don't know how long that shot is of just a very slow dolly zoom, and it just feels unnatural, And so for everything as graceful as you put it, and for everything that has been graceful and good and enticing about this world, like here's a moment that's like, nope. This is starting to feel...
It's the pit in your stomach.
Yeah. It's like as natural as this life has been for 2 hours now it feels weird. Like, now I'm uncomfortable. It's just such a great, I mean, obviously where every shot in your movie is going to go. But, like, knowing what needs to be done at this particular moment in the movie and accomplishing it with a fun little camera trick, like, it's incredible. I mean, that's what this whole movie is like, employing the exact right technique at the exact right time, including the very end when all of a sudden Henry Hill stands up out of the witness chair and starts talking directly to camera. I guess the rules of the rest of the movie are kind of gone. Yeah. Because he's, and it kind of sprints to the finish. The last couple minutes happen in a hurry. Yeah. Like it ends quick. But like seeing him suddenly stand up from the and he's moving fast too. He's moving fast and with purpose. And he, he hits his mark in a real tight close up at the end of that while he's talking to us about, everything that, going in the witness protection program and all that stuff. And then actually seeing him. Yeah. Like in that green, that's it looks so different. Yeah. The whole movie is deep browns and reds and grays and it's city stuff. But then seeing him in like a bright green lawn and then like a powder blue robe, like it's so wrong. Putting him in this sort of suburban setting as just the purgatory. But it ends in a hurry. It ends real fast. Like it's like, yep, we're in, I'm testifying, and then that's it. I'm dead.
I mean, it's the follow up to, for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster, right? Like that is the beginning of his testimonial, and this is now the end of it. Yeah. We are done with the movie. But before it ends, though, there's that just almost jump scare like flash frame of
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy shooting the camera. It is very
the great train robbery
robbery. Yeah, but it's just this dude's gonna be thinking about this for the rest of his like at any moment. that will happen to him.
It is crazy that the real Henry Hill died of old age.
I mean, it feels like poetic in a way that most of these movies end up turning out like, just like, oh yeah, no, totally fine, like all good.
One last thing. One of the other like touchstones I really like about this closing credit music is Sid Vicious's version of My Way.
Yeah,
fucking incredible.
The punk cover of My Way. Yeah, that's great. The needle drops in this movie. The soundtrack is
unbelievable,
spectacular.
Yeah.
And I do love movies that their soundtrack spans decades, right? Like from the 50s all the way through the 80s to, you know, the picking the right song to illustrate the right time period and the right energy of it. It's, you know, that's another thing Scorsese's just better at than most, you know. But let's do movie lists. So this showed up on the biopics movie list, which was actually kind of a beefier one that ended up being called How Biopics Adapt, Distill, and Distort Reality. It got kind of a half of what's the difference treatment, which is kind of fun. We talked a lot about your Copa shot interview with Larry McConkey. Yeah. That was the art of the scene. It was on Top 10 Beginnings of all time.
Yeah.
It got the
as it should be.
Yeah, it got the flash forward beginning kind of pick. It also got a mention in endings, but we did those back to back, and we didn't want to just do the same movies.
Fair. I mean, the beginning is better than the ending. You know, it hits harder.
The ending is the right ending for the movie, but also got the funny house scene ended up in our top 10 improvised moments scene.
Again, as it fucking should.
Sure. We did a thing you didn't know about Goodfellas back in the day. The Copa shot ended up on. We did top 12 long takes of all time, and then a few years later,
better been in the top 10.
For a few years later, we did the top 10 sort of revisiting of the list, and it made the cut both times. Don't worry.
Is it ranked by the longest shot or how good the shot is?
No, just different styles of it. Honestly, I think we did 12 in the first one because we wanted to talk about both the Copa shot and the Boogie Nights because they're so they're echoes, you know. Yeah.
Scorsese clone.
Yeah,
Successful
exactly.
Scorsese clone.
And then as far back as I can remember, I Always Wanted to Be a Gangster was in our top 100 most iconic lines of all time.
Again.
Where was Fucko? I hear you. Didn't make the cut. Next time
top
we do 100 more iconic
what about,
lines.
Prejudice Against Italians in this day and age?
It'll just be 100 lines from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Ranked.
That we do. Top 100 lines. Aside from all of them, is there any other movie list that we should put Goodfellas on? I would love to have a gangsters movie list.
Oh, it's coming.
Crime gangster list.
Yeah,
if only somebody at this table were working on that right now.
Someone is working on it.
And it ain't good. Me. Let me just say that out loud.
I will properly earn the vowel that comes at the end of my last
I
name.
know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine Goodfellas.
Put some Irish movies on this list. It seems sacrilegious.
Listen, you're writing it. Don't do it.
I have to. They're good.
They're good.
Right?
Okay. It's hard to do something around violence.
I mean, it's weird to do it. It's just like we're going to celebrate violence, right?
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think of the other. I'm not sure what else. Like it's a well covered movie over the years on CineFix for sure.
Yeah, because it fucking deserves to be.
Well, take it easy.
All right. You know,
I'm not sitting here telling you I don't understand why we've talked about it so much.
These New York scumbags are very cinematic.
You know what? I'm done with this. Let's do Torf.
Right. Let's do this.
Tayo, we got some Torf. Good luck, by the way, sneaking something past Cal today.
Tried my best for this one.
Well, I believe you.
All right, ready?
Let's do it.
What we got?
During the recording of the film's narration, Ray Liotta made the sound man sit directly in front of him in the studio. True or false?
True.
I'm going to go true. I bet he did that because he wanted to feel like he was talking to somebody.
And telling a story to someone. Yeah.
Yep. All true?
Yep. All true.
Yep, that is correct. And for that exact reason. So you could feel like he was talking to someone. It
really is like, and I wonder if the sound guy did the same thing for Lorraine Bracco for hers because like they're both such casual deliveries.
I mean, I know it goes without saying to the group of people I'm talking to, but directing your voice talent to do something specific is always going to be helpful instead of just read this line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Turf number 2. The Maury's wig commercial was directed by Marty Krugman, whose late-night TV ads in the 1970s often depicted him swimming to demonstrate his wig's resilience.
That is false.
I'm going to go with the unbridled confidence across from me.
I'm
going to
relying
agree
on
with
Cal
that.
for this one. This is false.
That's correct. I thought I would trick you with that one. Do you know the real answer?
Yeah. There was a window salesman that had a commercial that Scorsese really liked, and he hired him to write, produce, and direct the Maury's wig commercial.
Yeah,
First thing shot on
Stefan
the film.
Paca.
Yeah, that's it.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Imagine making like YouTube video and Scorsese's like, hey, I really liked your YouTube video.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's what it's such an incredible inclusion in the movie that they put in. I mean, we get to watch the whole commercial, and then it pans straight. It pans straight up to Jimmy's face, going like, just furious.
And then he chokes him, and the wig falls right
Yeah.
off.
It's very strong RoboCop commercial energy.
Yeah. It's great.
There's a really cool Tumblr article about it. This guy tracked down the family who made the commercial. Unfortunately, the original guy died, but he tracked down his son and kind of retold the story about how they got the gig. Basically, he called the store, the studio, and then someone answered. They were like, "Hey, Scorsese's looking for you," and then they're all freaking out like, "Oh, Scorsese." And I guess the dad stood up all night. Making storyboards and a pitch for Scorsese. He wasn't really active.
I would do exactly that.
Yeah, he just loved it and he was entertained, so he gave him the gig.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Turf number 3. Christopher Walken was originally offered the role of Jimmy Conroy, but turned it down due to fear of being typecasted.
Walken.
False.
I'm gonna say false as well. And definitely not because of being typecast, because he literally made King of New York 2 years later.
Listen, I'm gonna go true just to be contrary,
Ty
but
has a little bit of a smirk on his face.
no, and I'm trying to read your. I'm gonna go true, just true-ish, because I bet he was on a list to be in the movie and didn't.
It is false. I'm just laughing because it's the confidence in Cal.
Damn it.
I just like the record to state that I said false first.
Okay. So it was Al Pacino.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I think Frank Vincent wanted to be Tommy, but Scorsese told him to be Billy. He was like, "No, you want to be Billy Bats."
Yeah. That same year, Al Pacino played a gangster in Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy, Big Boy Caprice, and he later regretted that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody that turned down fucking Goodfellas regretted turning down.
Right.
Last turf. The painting that Tommy's mother holds up during the dinner scene is actually from a 1978 issue of National Geographic.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was actually painted by Pileggi's mom.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
That is turf.
That is Torf. Thank you.
Great work,
Thank
Ty.
you, Torf.
Yeah.
All right, who's your MVP, guys? Don't roll your eyes at me. I mean, just come and tell you.
It's Scorsese.
Scorsese?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to give it to Frankie Carbone? I kind of do.
I mean, if you want to give it to Frankie Carbone, you can, but
Probably going to
Frankie
get outvoted.
Carbone hasn't figured out the way to articulate the Italian-American lifestyle in such a compelling way that makes it not only timeless, but eminently relatable to all that watch.
That wasn't him that did that in this movie?
No, it wasn't Carbone.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the son of the mom.
Got it.
Yeah.
Scorsese's mom.
Scorsese's mom.
Yeah, she's the MVP. I just love her. She reminds me of my own grandma.
I understand you guys feel the need to be fucking contrarian here.
No, it's Scorsese.
Scorsese would even say it's his mom.
It's Scorsese. Well, of course,
Oh,
yeah.
now it's all right for you to contradict them.
Same way Tommy would, you know? Yeah. Scorsese's mom is Tommy's MVP every time.
Yeah.
No, it's Scorsese. Like this movie is just so good and firing on all cylinders, and like even everybody that between Bauhaus and Schumacher and even McConaughey and everybody that worked on this movie, like pulling in the right direction and doing incredible work. And there's nobody that did a bad job on this, and that's usually because the director's steering a hell of a ship.
Yeah, this is a lot of people's best work. Period. And I include Scorsese in that. I think that this is his best movie.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people may disagree with me. I'm sure there's a lot of like Taxi Driver fans out. Like I'm sure there's like a lot of Taxi Driver enthusiasts. I'm sure that there's
a lot of people out there loving Silence.
No, there's not. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that really like Raging Bull. There are those casino like there's the most.
You want to talk about being
contrarian?
contrarian? Yeah. The people that are like, no, Casino's actually better.
People that prefer Casino. I respectfully disagree, but you know what? I respect your desire to be contrarian.
That's what I respect.
Because I'm gonna be real. Like, what? I put on Casino as a fucking joke over Christmas to like fuck with my dad. He's just like, you want to watch a movie? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, it's late, so don't put on a long one. I put on Casino. Guess what? We watch all fucking Casino.
Yeah.
I love that movie too, and it's like a nice palate cleanser to this. But this, as far as I'm concerned, is the singular greatest work of Martin Scorsese.
Did you want to argue with that or
no? I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Taxi Driver would be a close second for me.
I agree. Not The Departed.
It's a fun one, but I wouldn't put it in the top 3.
No,
I don't know. I'm probably gonna say Age of Innocence or some nonsense, but I don't mean it.
I'm gonna say Silence.
No,
Age of Innocence is good and a weirdly very similar movie to Goodfellas. Yeah. So all the violence is like polite society violence and like all of that,
like
all of that stuff.
Shit.
Yeah. Though, if Goodfellas are your people, Age of Innocence is my people. All right, we got time for one more before we talk about where this movie ranks. One more segment.
Oh. If Nicolas Cage could be anybody in this movie, and he was around at this time,
who would he
be?
Honestly, this is one of the rare occasions. It's only happened a couple of times in this show. I don't want him anywhere near this movie.
Fuck you.
What am I going to make him, Frank Carbone?
I mean,
no.
He's not a Frankie Carbone, but like,
I will say the one character I do think that he would make a great version of is Morris.
No, not,
I think he'd make a hilarious.
So here's my legitimate hot take. Listen, I love Michael Imperioli. Is Spider the most memorable fucking character in this movie? No. I think Nicolas Cage at that point in time could have done a Spider just as well, if not better than him.
Maybe he might have been a little.
That doesn't fundamentally change the movie at all in any capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, it may fucking tarnish the future because I think if
then Nicolas Cage is now in Sopranos.
Well, no, then like maybe Michael Imperioli doesn't have like the recognition to be Chris Moltisanti, who this is a movie podcast, but let me be clear. Chris Moltisanti is a fucking incredible character, and like he may be my favorite Sopranos character.
Yeah, no, you can put Cage in any one of those roles. I think. I mean, any one of the other.
What happens if
gangster
he was
kind of
fucking
roles.
Pete the Killer?
Yeah, I think he'd be just a quick montage of like.
But that's just Easter egg.
Yeah,
that's fine though. He'd be like Nick. That's Snake Eyes.
See, that's
over
why
there.
I'm just like, no, don't even worry about it. Like, don't bother.
But I think he could be a Spider. Spider has multiple scenes, lines. Like he exists, and I think Nicolas Cage could have done this. It's the exact guy, like the young guy hanging out in the clubhouse with all like with all the old heads.
But even what's his name, the owner of the Bamboo Lounge, like guy roles like that. Like I don't. The guys that are there are doing it right.
They are doing it right.
I don't think that big Nick Cage energy is what this movie needs.
I mean, this movie ain't better again because I'm going to be clear here. This movie is fucking perfect, right? So it's not better with him in it,
right?
But
it's not worse in a few spots.
There's nothing bad,
right? Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say. It was just like, just don't. Let's not. Let's just not.
But that detracts from the fun of the segment.
It's a Cage cut.
It does seem like you're having fun with the segment.
You get 4 seconds of him in the cabana.
Yeah, that's it.
Or he could be the fucko guy that like Henry Hill just fucks up in front of the Corvette.
Yeah, I could see him being
Yeah.
that waspy neighbor guy.
Yeah.
He could do that.
Yep.
Where'd you have this ranked, Cal? Can I guess?
Yeah, where do you guys think I had this ranked?
I think everything else is tied for last. It's your number one, right? It's
Number
gotta
one.
be.
This is absolutely 100%
Wow.
my number one favorite movie of all time.
Hell yeah.
I watch this movie multiple times a year.
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie. This movie makes this movie feels like home.
Yeah.
I can watch it. You can put it on any frame. I'll watch it till the fucking end. I
Right.
quote this thing endlessly. Yeah, this is bar none my favorite movie of all time.
Where'd you have it?
I did not have it on my list.
Oh no.
So again, this movie is worse. The Goodfellas is worse than Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
We have him on the show.
I'm struggling with that.
And I know you like Heat, so it blows my fucking mind that Heat is on your list, and this film is conspicuously lower than Dawn of the Dead.
So Alex didn't have it.
That tracks.
Dan had it at 97.
Fucking Dan.
And I had it at 17.
Yeah, as you should. Good work.
Take it easy.
Good fucking work.
Yeah.
Dan sneaks it in. A piece of shit.
Yeah. Dan's
Where is
using his 95 to 100, kind of whatever picks. But no, 17.
Damn right.
This movie's great.
Not a fucking bad frame in this goddamn.
I agree.
Not only does it have like literary chops, but it's fucking incredibly shot. It's a masterclass in everything that a movie can fucking do, and it's fun as fuck. This is the kind of movie that when people physically bought media, for 30 fucking years, like this is like first 10, right? First 10 DVDs.
It's like time to start my VHS collection.
It's like Warner
Goodfellas
Brothers
is right up there.
Warner Brothers is like, oh, we got a new medium coming out. Great, we got to spin up the fucking Goodfellas. It's like because that's like it's a launch title.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, the good news is there's only one Goodfellas, so we don't have to talk about which one we're kicking off of the list.
Too bad. We should have paired this with Casino.
This one. Well, honestly, we're gonna kick Casino off the list.
Yeah,
if we ever encounter Casino, it's gone. So there's no real tough decisions to make. Although, Nick, do you have pangs of regret for not having it on your list?
I do.
Do you already want to revise? 3 episodes in, are you already ready to revise your list a little?
Maybe I'll swap Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Well, you
for
can't.
Goodfellas.
It's too late. It happens fast, though, that regret, doesn't it?
So, in other words, Goodfellas is Dan's Dawn of the Dead.
Seems like it.
Dan's Zack Snyder's
Which
Dawn of the Dead.
at least you can get a little bit behind, probably. All right. You know what? Let's get out of here before somebody gets punched. That'll do it for us this week. Thanks for watching Goodfellas, particularly on behalf of Cal. He appreciates it. Thanks also to our consigliere producer, Tayo Triggerman Oyekin, Speakeasy owner and operator, technical producer, Smiley Marian Franzen, our muscle, technical producer, Blue Eyes Amir Rakib, our capo, production manager, Tanner Big Tuna Smith, and Dan can go get his shine box. But join us next week as we continue to expand the definition of family as we travel to LV 426 with James Cameron's Aliens. Ooh. Doing Aliens next. Nice. But until then, stay safe, be good, and don't rat on your friends.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to this episode of the CineFix Top 100 about Goodfellas. Hope you like profanity. Before we go, I do want to mention once again IGN's in-person event, IGN Live, is happening downtown Los Angeles on June 7th and 8th of this year. So make sure to grab your early bird tickets to get the best price while you can for only $15 per day. It's happening right now. We're going to be there hanging out with the awesome live show all weekend. Tons of giveaways, playable games on consoles, PCs, and handheld, celebrity panels, and with brands and publishers including Netflix, 2K Sports, IDW, Arcade 1UP, and so many more. It was a lot of fun last year. I'm going to be there again this year. But head over to IGN.com/live to grab your tickets before they go up in price. Get those early bird tickets.